So listen, I do hate how the NFL, for the most part, is becoming so soft when it comes to taunting calls, being aggressive in football to a certain degree, right? Obviously, listen, if you're going to make a tackle and you're not trying to hurt anybody and you're just trying to make a legit tackle, it's automatically penalized, right? Roughing the passer has become to a point now where it's almost a joke to watch football and be like, oh, come on, man. The drive got ruined because of that. Like, that was such a bad call. And so far this year, refs have been abysmal at calling really bad calls. But then there's plays that I don't like, and it's after the whistle is over. For example, last season, Marcus Peters punched Joe Mixon in the gut after the play. There is no room for that type of behavior, and that there is no reason for that. Yes, you can smack talking each other, and maybe if you want to do to a certain degree what taunting is, I don't have a problem with that. If you want to just be like drop the ball in front of them, I know you get penalized, but as a fan, I don't see that and go, oh, come on, man, that's awful. No. But punching someone in the gut, twisting their ankle, doing something to try to hurt another individual on the field is just ridiculous, right? At the end of the day, you're all trying to win the game. You're all trying to do your best out there. And if you watch, for example, George Pickens play, George Pickens will say himself, whenever he doesn't get the football, he purposely targets people and tries to hit them or push them or do something aggressive with them because that's how he gets out his anger from not getting footballs, which again, it's just outrageous. Like, that cannot happen. You cannot be on the field trying to target someone because you have anger issues, right? That's not football. Football is, I caught the ball, I made a great play, I showboat it, or I do something to show, hey, listen, I'm better than you. Maybe a little bit of smack talk, hey, you're a bum, you can't cover me. That's football. Football is not, oh, after the play is over, I beat you in the play, so when you're not looking, I come up and I cheap shot you in the back so that you fall down and get hurt. And that's what DK Metcalf did last week to Cam Taylor-Britt. The play's over with. There's no reason to, do anything. And he shoves Cam Taylor-Britt to the ground. And honestly, 90% of the time, usually when situations like this happens, the player is flopping. So, like, you touch a guy and he goes, whoa, and he flies back. This wasn't that situation. Cam Taylor-Britt was literally just standing there, and Metcalf just shoves him to the ground for no freaking reason at all. And this is not a new thing. Based on what I understand from Seahawks fans, based on what I understand from what Pete Carroll is saying and doing, is that this is a common occurrence with DK Metcalf. That he just has problems when it comes to his anger. And this is what he had to say. He did respond to it after, again, he hit Cam Taylor-Britt last weekend for no reason, just shoved him to the ground and got a penalty flag on him for unnecessary roughness. Pete Carroll decided, the head coach for the Seahawks, he put up a board of all the penalties, that Metcalf has been doing as a way to hold accountability. And kind of put it in his head like, dude, you can't do this because every time you do this, you're costing us 15 yards, you're costing us 30 yards, you're costing us, this, and this, and eventually you can get kicked out of the game for this, right? Here's what he had to say back. He said, it's just a bore to me. I'm not going to change the way I play. If you look at the penalties, there's taunting, unnecessary roughness, face mask, holding, and I think it was one more in there. I'm doing pretty good if I look at it and judge myself knowing how I play and just try to be consistent and have a clean hands or whatever the case may be. But I'm not going to change who I am as a player or a person. And again, the face mask, if you're not doing it on purpose, you can throw that out of the book, right? The taunting is stupid. Taunting is fine. I still will forever be on the player side for that. You look at a player and you go, that's taunting. Like, that's ridiculous, okay? Taunting is absolutely outrageous. And same thing with, again, it depends on face mask. If face mask you're doing it on purpose to hurt the player, then yes, that's a problem. But if you're just like, you try to tackle a player or you're trying to push a player off and you got the face mask, but you don't do it on purpose to try to hurt the player, it just happens, I can let that go. I can let that slide. Holding, I'm not going to really talk about. I mean, come on now. Holding it's whatever. You're not doing that to hurt the player. You're not doing that in any malicious intent. But unnecessary roughness, most of the time, that is to do it for some intent. Now, I will say there are times where you can say, well, it's justified. Because maybe, after the play is over, that player slammed your quarterback out of bounds, right? And it was just a ridiculous hit, and he did it on purpose, and he literally trying to hurt your guy. And then as an offensive lineman, you come up and you shove the guy to the ground. That's unnecessary roughness. That's okay. You're defending your teammate. That's something where it's like, hey, listen, I'm not trying to end this person's career like they just did to my quarterback, but I'm going to show them that I'm ticked off about what they did. And I think that's justified. But to do what DK Metcalf did where, Cam Taylor Britt locks you up and your response is shove them to the ground, that's ridiculous. That's really just ridiculous for no reason. That is the type of crap that can't happen. Because let's say he falls to the ground, gets shoved to the ground, then let's say he gets hurt, right? Something like that happens. It's just nonsense. Metcalf added, I don't feel like I was a problem or I needed to make progress in a certain area. Football is a violent sport, and it's my one opportunity to be violent on game day, and I'm going to continue to do that. See, the thing about football is, it is a violent sport. It's a gladiator sport, right? And that's why, to a certain degree, we all love football. Let's be honest. Whether we admit it or not, we all love football for the end of the day because it's a hard-hitting sport. But at the same time, though, it's a violent sport, but you don't have to add violence to the sport, right? There's a difference here. It's a violent sport by nature. You do not have to add violence to that said nature. You don't have to. Well, in the end, when you do, that's when, you are purposely trying to hurt somebody. I know for the longest time they called it, head hunting, where you're trying to go for someone's head and trying to hit them. And if you're trying to be violent toward other players in football, then you're not really meant to play football. You're not really meant for this game. Because this game is not about trying to kill one another. This game is about simply winning games as a team and going for one achievement in the Lombardi Trophy. This is not to destroy somebody's career or hurt somebody or take out your angers and frustrations. That's not what this game's about. I mean, yes, it's a gladiator sport, so it's a violent sport, but that's not the player's intent. 99.9% of players is not going out there to be violent. It's just the fact that it's a hard-hitting sport, and that's why we love football. But when you add in the violence factor as a player, now you are just doing that to hurt people, and that's nonsense. That's actually nonsense. And his perspective of, well, you know what, I don't care, I'm just going to do me because this is the only chance I get to be violent, well then that's not right. That's not right for this game because all you're doing is causing more and more problems. And you're hurting your team. If anything, it's like, even if you don't care how it looks for you or what you're doing to other players, you're hurting your team by getting penalties. Like, that's a problem, man. That's an actual problem. And that's why your head coach is pointing it out and trying to tell you and trying to convey this to you that, hey, listen, man, you can't be doing this because you're hurting the team. And he just doesn't care. He doesn't. And again, like I said, my problem is, and you might say, well, what's your problem with this? Is my problem is this when I see Cam Taylor Britt get shoved to the ground for no freaking reason. And when I see last year, Joe Mixon gets punched in the stomach for no reason. I mean, there's never a reason for that, by the way. But, I see that, and it's just like, that's outrageous. That is outrageous. It's after the whistle. There's no reason for this conduct. Again, if Cam Taylor Britt would have went up and, I don't know, after the play, took a cheap shot on Geno Smith, and because of that, DK Metcalf pushed him to the ground, I'd be like, I don't like the fact you hit my guy, but I understand you're defending your quarterback. But if you're not defending your quarterback and this is out of nowhere just because you're pissed off on the play, like, no, bro, that's not football. Football is hard hitting, but football is not, you just act like a, violent person for no freaking reason just because you're angry. Frustrations can get the best of you, but you don't take it out on another player. right? You take it out on the fact that, hey, listen, go to the sideline, maybe calm down a little bit. You know, I know people get emotional. I get emotional about this sport, and I can't imagine what an NFL player feels when it comes to their emotion for the sport, because they're doing it as their living, they're doing it as their job, and they're doing it for something they love. And, you know, it's like their passion. And I understand to get emotional, but to hurt another player is just outrageous in every way. Thank you guys for watching, though. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.